There has to be some common sense.
Yes, sir. They have the car stopped at 10th and Ranch Michael Ryder.
We still don't know who pulled the trigger.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Police Off the Cuff, Real Crime Stories. I'm your host, retired NYPD Sergeant Bill Cannon. I'm flying alone tonight. Phil took the night off. You know, folks, this is a really heartbreaking case. The case of Eliza Fletcher, a mother of two young boys who was out running on Friday at 04:30 in the morning when she became the victim of a violent kidnapping. Violent because I say the police had video which they have yet to release. But the person who did this kidnapping is now under arrest, and he's being charged with with aggravated, especially aggravated kidnapping. And in Tennessee law, there's 5 ways you can be charged with that, and one of them is where the victim suffers a serious bodily injury. So, although we haven't seen the video to this is an especially aggravated kidnapping. Now, the problem is right now is that they have an arrest, as we said. The police have done an unbelievable job. On the scene, they recovered Eliza Fletcher's cell phone. It was smashed, a water bottle, and the sandals belonging to the perpetrator, which they were able to swipe for DNA, and in less than 24 hours, had him identified and under arrest. And they've also collected the car that he was in. I mean, just amazing, amazing police work. This is on the screen. This is the perpetrator. He's no stranger to the criminal justice system. He was arrested in 2000. But guess what? Kidnapping, aggravated kidnapping. I believe he did 20 years. And he was let out, and I believe it was in 2020, and he was on parole. Here's a guy that probably should have never been paroled. This is the vehicle you're looking up at the screen, and apparently he was in it when they went to pull him over, and an ATF agent planted his car right into the passenger side of that vehicle, unless you see the damage there. So they were able to recover the vehicle. There's his arrest photos. He has an extremely violent juvenile record, besides having an adult criminal record. Well, it's hard for him to have committed a lot of crimes. He was in prison for 20 years. Now he gets out, and now he's making up for lost time. There's a lot of talk about this. What was the motive for this? And I have my own theories. Was she targeted? Was this about ransom, since she is the heir to to a hardware store fortune, a family of billionaires? And was this the reason for the kidnapping? Her grandfather was Joseph Joe Orgel III, so they owned Orgel Hardware. I don't think this was a attack for money or for ransom, or on one of the other channels said that this appeared to be a robbery. I didn't think it had anything to do with a robbery. In a kidnapping where you're going to try to get ransom or money, you don't want to hurt the victim. In this instance, the victim was hurt seriously almost immediately. She was attacked. I'm sure she fought very hard for her life. And one thing that's also known is that after the attack occurred, the perpetrator stayed on the scene for 4 minutes. What was he doing for those 4 minutes? Was there, I hate to even say this or think of this, was there a sexual assault here? The police, in identifying his sandals and recovering the property at the scene, again, were able to make an arrest in less than 24 hours. Outstanding police work. We have to give it to the FBI, the TBI, Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms, the local Memphis police and the campus police. Outstanding, outstanding work. And, you can't expect any quicker work than they did on this case. just incredibly incredible. And they're looking for her right now. Unfortunately, I think everyone's thinking the worst. I mean, we'd love to see Eliza be recovered alive, but we have our doubts that that could happen. I'm going to play a little bit of this. You can see the stock and that this guy comes from, who he hangs out. Folks, I'm reading in the chat, and I don't know if there's any confirmation, if anyone has any confirmation that they have found her. I don't have any information other than someone posting that in the chat. Some of the things that the police did, obviously, they're using science to solve this case, which is unbelievable. For DNA to come back and identify a perpetrator in less than 24 hours. It didn't happen in my time on the police department. Just incredible, incredible. They also said that he was washing the car, the interior of the car, because there must have been blood inside the car. And that would of course link her to him, link her to the car. In the video, they also said something about the rear taillight being broken. Could he have hit her head against the rear taillight? We don't know that because the police have yet to share that. But when you think about the science now, they also were able to follow the pings on his phone. And that, I would surmise, is how they're searching certain areas right now, through the pings of his cell phone, where his cell phone pinged from 4:30 on till the next day. And that, I would believe, that is how they're searching the very specific areas, and that is how undoubtedly they will be able to find Eliza. And it doesn't get more horrible than this: a kidnapping of a young mother who's out running at 4:30 in the morning, doing her daily jog, and probably running that early so she could come back and take care of her two young boys and then go to school where she's a kindergarten teacher. There's not more of an innocent victim than her. There's been a lot of people, predicting, oh, what was this about? Oh, is this a ransom? And because she's the heir to a billionaire. So far, I don't see that in this case. As I said, if someone's kidnapping someone for money, they're not going to commit a deadly physical force injury on them during the kidnapping. Robbery, the only thing she had to steal was her cell phone. That wasn't taken, and she was forced in the car. There's something much more sinister to this. Since he's not talking, I had mentioned when they arrested him, because it was a kidnapping in an emergency situation, I don't believe they needed to read Miranda to him. I believe it was the emergency exception to Miranda. They could have spoke to him about that. One of the things that I'm thinking right now is that if she is, in fact, if they find her body, they could cut a deal with his attorney to not seek the death penalty if he cooperates. But I don't see this. This guy's like a career criminal. He's a real jailhouse jack. I don't see him cooperating. They got him dead to rights, and they got the FBI, the TBI, the ATF, Memphis police, the campus police. They're building the strongest case possible against this guy. This guy will never get out of prison. And hopefully, I'd love to see a guy like this get the death penalty. He so deserves it. If there's anyone that deserves the death penalty, it's this guy. The poor family. I mean, the family, innocent family, and, if anyone also is talking these conspiracy theories where someone in the family is involved, we'll find that out. The FBI and the TBI, ATF, they're going to turn every stone over. And they're going to look at every nexus, every possibility. Was there someone else involved in this besides this guy who was arrested? Career criminal that was arrested. Abstin. Is he the only one involved? I don't know. I don't know at this point. The investigation's not completed. There's a lot more work to do. And hopefully we'll bring Eliza home to her family. so they can at least have some type of closure. But this mutt here, this career criminal, Cleotha Abston, 38 years old. What did he ever do anything good with his life, this guy? This type of person that the death penalty was written for. It's just a disgrace. I'm going to show you a News Nation report the other night. This is what Jennifer Coffendorfer, a former FBI agent.
Coffendorfer, former FBI special agent. Jennifer, I hate these stories. They're so disturbing. But he grabbed her, threw her in the vehicle. How are they going to catch this guy? I mean, they already caught him. How did they catch this guy?
Well, they did a fabulous job of jumping on this case early. Thankfully, there was footage of the actual incident, which gave them a partial license, a very unique license that they could go off of, as well as dents on the car that they were able to match up and led them to this arrest.
And as Kelsey mentioned, this is not the first time that this man has been in trouble for a kidnapping. What do we know about the previous case?
This is crucial to me. The other person that was attacked was an attorney. His last name was Durand, and he was actually worked in the same law firm as Fletcher's uncle. Now, I don't believe in coincidence, and this makes me believe this wasn't completely random.
So you think that because the previous kidnapping wasn't random, that this particular case involving this young woman, this mother, is not random either, that potentially he knew something about her?
Exactly. And I do want to also bring forth that she had a very specialized routine every morning. She got up in the morning and she jogged at such an early morning hour of 4:30. So I would just tell women who have similar routines, change up your route, be aware of your surroundings, run against traffic, have that pepper.
Folks, is that a coincidence that the attorney that he kidnapped in the year 2000, that he is an attorney that works for the same law firm that represents Eliza Fletcher's family? Is that coincidental, or is there a nexus? Is there a connection in that? Is there something in this story now that that we need to know? My prediction is that I think that he knew Eliza Fletcher's where she ran every day. I think perhaps he may have been stalking her. But if you're kidnapping someone, as I said earlier on, for ransom, you're not going to use that type of force, which was almost described in the affidavit as deadly physical force. And that's why he was charged with that level of kidnapping, which was especially aggravated kidnapping. So I happen to agree with Jennifer Coffendorfer that there could be a nexus to this in regards to this attorney. However, let's see where this leads. The FBI, TBI, ATF, they will not leave a stone unturned.
Spray ready in your hand so that you can be ready to thwart an attack such as this.
Right, and so that there would be some witnesses when you say run against traffic if something were to be amiss. The suspect not cooperating with investigators or telling them anything about where this woman is, but is there enough evidence to charge him with a crime just with what was found in and around that vehicle?
Oh, I believe so. With the vehicle, as well as the blood, the DNA, there was DNA found on the shoes that were left at the scene, the champion slippers, and those matched up to Cleotha Abston. So with that information, as well as the information maintained in the affidavit that he was cleaning, that he was washing himself off, all of that leads to probable cause for an arrest.
Do you think that it's unique that they actually wanted to collect the family vehicle, the garden shears at her property, and that computer?
Well, I think it's very important that they look at all aspects of this situation, particularly the computer and any forensics that could possibly lead to how she was targeted. Again, there's this connection between the original subject of the first kidnapping of Mr. Abston and the second, because the uncle worked at the same law firm as the first subject or first victim. And this is no coincidence, I don't think law enforcement will find.
Jennifer Coffindaffer, thank you very much for being with us. We certainly hope that there's some closure for this family here very soon. Thank you.
So, folks, it doesn't, there's lots of people out there with opinions as to what happened here. The way in which this happened is just very disturbing. The fact that he stalked her, he came up on her when she was running. The violent nature of this, like, blitz type attack is just extremely disturbing to me. That what was the motive? Was the motive a sexual assault? I'm going to go towards that. And if it wasn't, why did he keep her, and why did he stay at the scene for 4 minutes with her inside the vehicle? That to me is extremely, extremely disturbing. And I don't know what the explanation is for that. And I'm just wondering right now, as we speak, I'm hearing all kinds of things that they may have recovered some remains, or they may have recovered another crime scene. As I said, science is working on this case. The cell phone pings of the perpetrator, they can reroute his entire route that morning and into the evening through his cell phone pings. The DNA linking him, a slam dunk. Jennifer Coffindaffer was asked, is there probable cause? Of course there's probable cause. His DNA is on the scene. His slippers are on the scene. Video of him attacking her, even though usually the video is not good enough to identify somebody. On the screen now is a photo of their family. This is after they found out what had occurred and about the force that was used in this kidnapping. And I think they're a family of faith, obviously. You can see on their faces, they are extremely distraught. This case, of course, I don't believe is going to end with a happy ending. I don't think. And this is the photograph that they put out there very early, which was the original photograph that they had from the video camera. I believe that at 7 o'clock in the morning on Friday, the college security was the first to call the police as they noticed this on the college videotape. And then I believe at 7:45, the husband called the police because she didn't return home. So this caper is just, and of course, one of the things was that he had this black SUV, the GMC Terrain, dark colored. That was what was out there right immediately after this became public knowledge that this was going on. This is a beautiful woman. She teaches kindergarten. Again, 2 children. There's a picture of her and her 2 boys. It's a tragedy in every way. This is the video, very difficult to see. This was the first video that was put out. A still from that video, that's the SUV. That's the location where the attack occurred. Just very, very sad situation. Again, there's a lot of theories, but there's no concrete information as to, we know what happened, but we don't know the why. We don't know the motive. Why did this happen? That clearly we won't know unless this perpetrator talks, or unless they find out other investigative leads that lead to other people. I use the word nexus. Nexus simply means a connection. Is there a connection to this lawyer who was kidnapped 20 years ago and to this kidnapper in regards to what occurred here? Is there any connection? Or is there, Jennifer Coffindaffer said she didn't believe in coincidences. Well, let's see. Hunches mean nothing. Hunches without solid evidence to back up. And, so far, the science of investigation has done an unbelievable job. Folks, if you're not subscribed to Police Off the Cuff Real Crime Stories, go on our YouTube, hit that subscribe button, give us a thumbs up. Join our family, join our YouTube family. If you like real crime content from a police perspective, a police point of view, jump on our YouTube, give us a thumbs up, and ring that bell. We also have a Patreon if you want to support us financially. We have 3 different levels, and you see the folks in the chat with the green font. We have 5 different levels. on our YouTube channel members. And we appreciate all our channel members, the Police Off the Cuff family. Thank you guys so much. But if you want to join our YouTube family, you're welcome to do that. As I said, there's 5 different levels. I'm going to play another thing from News Nation in regards to this.
Talk right now with TJ Ward, a private investigator. Police have not been able to get much information out of this suspect, TJ, but do you think that with what was found in and around the vehicle, in addition to people who live in and around that neighborhood where she was last seen jogging, could investigators put this case together and put charges squarely on this suspect?
Good morning. Thank you for having me. Yes, I believe so. And this was a very, very quick investigation that I knew from the beginning was not random. This was a planned kidnapping, and right now we don't know who else is involved. But the witnesses that's gotten information and given it to the police was helpful, and the information from the DNA that they got knowing what vehicle he was in. Now they can now they can start pulling some other things together. He's not going to talk, so the whole thing now is trying to get cadaver dogs and trying to get the DNA and some information, and maybe others keeping this out in the public. Maybe others saw something that may help law enforcement find out where she had put him, and where the body may be. Cadaver dogs, and so. This is where we are right now, and keep interviewing other witnesses and family members and so on and so forth. I'm sure they have taken his computer and things from his home and are analyzing it right now in efforts to know that this is probably a planned, this was a planned abduction, and also to try to find out what else they can find that's going to lead to where her body may be.
And it is your belief, because you're saying some things that we hadn't heard so far, that she is definitely deceased.
I'm not saying she's definitely deceased. She's missing, but I'm sure at this point, this gentleman has got history of, and what we do know that she was injured or whatever when she was taken. We know that there apparently was blood or something in the car that has coming up, but you have to take and look in order to hopefully find out, because this guy's not going to give you any information of where he's put her or where she is or whatever. So we have to pull cadaver dogs in and hope we can locate some information and hopefully find her.
And you are basing the fact that this is not a random attack on the affidavit about the crime?
I think this was a planned. This was planned. This was not an abduction that was just happened at 4:30 in the morning. I think that he had planned, or who he was going to take, or what happened to her. I think he knew. Just as a matter of fact, that he just got out of jail from somebody else that he had victimized.
All right, TJ Ward, thank you so much for your insights. And again, we hope this family finds some answers very, very soon, and investigators get to the bottom of this. Thank you.
Prayers for the family.
Yes, absolutely.
What we can do.
Yes. Thank you for watching.
Folks, until we have the investigation moving forward, theories are just that, theories. But, like Phil and I always talk about, he calls it spitballing. Detectives get together and they discuss, what do you think happened? What do we got? What do you think we have? I used to call it hypothesizing and theorizing. That's what my talk was. But so you try to figure out what happened through basically an educated guess, what makes sense, and you go into that direction. Excuse me. So you go in that direction. Guys, I'm sorry. I'm trying to queue up the next little news flash. But the detectives get together. They, as Phil says, they spitball, they hypothesize, they theorize. But with this, there's real science. There is real science they can use, and the cell site information and the pinging of the cell phone can give exactly where this perpetrator was at exactly specific times. And I'm sure the FBI, TBI, the ATF, they're basing their search on those pings. So they're not guessing. They're not guessing. They're searching very, very specific areas because they have scientific information. The other thing is the perpetrator's body. If he was beating her, she was fighting back. He must have marks. He must have marks on his body from her defending herself. That also gets swabbed for DNA, and it's also called transfer evidence. That evidence may have been gone because he was washing his clothes, washing his body, but potentially, for example, if she scratched him, her DNA could be in his wound and vice versa. For example, all rape victims, all victims of a homicide, and I'm not saying that's what this is right now, they scrape underneath the fingernails to see if the DNA of the perpetrator is underneath the fingernails. And that's what is used many times, the autopsy, to identify the perpetrator. William Wallace, this is what you might call random Memphis, daily, everywhere, standard, and normal stuff. Well, William Wallace, I think that the University of Memphis campus is probably a very safe place. Does this type of crime happen? Does this type of crime happen on the University of Memphis campus all the time? Cindy Jones, they just said it's right around the area they removed the dumpster from. I bet there'll be a presser any time. Cindy Jones, what is right around the area? Did they announce that they recovered a body? I'm not privy to that. We're on the air right now. I'm sure, Pauline Robb, I'm sure they will square out his perimeter. Mandy Dennis, there's a lot of movement by the kidnapper's brother's house. You know, I would have thought that would have been the first place that they would have conducted a search, and a search warrant on would have been the brother's house. I'll be surprised. Nancy O'Brien Simpson, follow the money. Who else in line for that inheritance at the time in the morning? This was not random. Robin Redmond, this creep should never be allowed back on the streets again. I agree. This guy should have never been allowed back on the streets after his last kidnapping. Cindy Jones, they just said it's right there. Okay, I just read that. Sounding six, Miss Young Dolphin, certainly an unusual smile, isn't it? Like she's never seen someone smile like that. I don't know who you're referring to. Folks, I'm going to play a little bit from the local news station, a little blurb. If anyone hears anything in regards to real-time investigation, that they find a body or there's any other information, please let me know here, and I could try to pull up that information.
Today,
so folks, you can see this is an active investigation. There's a great deal of investigative work, police work, footwork, search work. It's all going on right now, and which means they're onto something. Do they have cadaver dogs? I'm sure they do on the scene, but they're searching based on scientific locations that were from his phone's pings. So it's an incredible thing how far law enforcement has come in regards to using science to help us. You know, just an amazing thing. Again, on the screen, that's the family. As you can see, I think we all want to say a prayer to this family. They're in so much pain right now. It's just almost impossible to fathom. Again, Eliza Fletcher, mother, 34 years old, mother of two, a kindergarten teacher. Think of our little kindergarten students wondering what happened to their teacher. How do you explain that to a 6-year-old? You know, how do you explain to a 6-year-old that your your kindergarten teacher is not coming back. How do you, I don't know how you do that, you know? I was in homicide for almost 10 years, and I had to make many a death notification. One of the worst jobs you could ever have on the police department is have to notify a family that their loved one is dead. I can't even imagine this one. Just unbelievable, you know? You know, folks, a lot of people also question is like, oh, why are all these resources being put into this case? She's just one person. Well, she's one person, it's true. But she is a real victim. And the guy who kidnapped her is a real evil perpetrator, as bad as you can get, you know? And I think when good versus evil like this, society and law enforcement should put everything into it they can possibly do to put this, I don't even know what adjective to use to describe this guy who you see on the screen. He definitely does not belong in society. I think it's scary how society sometimes now coddle these criminals. Coach Karen, they are really focusing on that lot with several dumpsters. Absolutely devastating, and I'm heart heavy, Coach Karen. After all, very true, Sergeant Bill. This is not just affects the family. So many kids in the whole community suffers. I'm reading some of your chat, Irish Hewlett. My heart breaks for her children. Yeah, and you know something? In a larger extent for the whole community. Your heart breaks for the whole community because this was a really so far, Christine Robinson, we haven't gotten word that they found her, or we know there's a lot of activity. There's a lot of police activity, but we haven't been. David Santa Carla, body found. Can you give us some further information? I'm not hearing it. I could search on while I'm live here, but I'm not receiving any news that anything was found. It's got to be a live report. In fact, if it was, I'm just hearing that the search is still going on. I'm not seeing any live reports of anything found. David Santa, unless we can verify the source, I'm not going to report that. I have to know a confirmation, a very specific source. I'm not going to put it up there just based on someone's body found, because it could be totally untrue, just totally untrue. And which, I'm not going to, as I said, without a confirmation, I can't put that out there. So we'll await a confirmation before we put anything out there. We all said that Phil and I have been covering this case since the beginning, and we said very early on, it looks really bad. It looks really bad. Legal-minded friends, Karen Cole, prisoners in Great Britain and Wales do get eligible for parole depending on their sentencing and date. Watch my video on titled, Should Youth Offenders Get Life? Tony Esquire, given the time since her disappearance, I think there's a 95% chance she's no longer with us, unfortunately. I hope I'm wrong. Tony, I believe you're probably right. I hate to say that because I would like to err on the side of life, but seeing these type of cases, I think you're 100% right. And it's so sad. It's just, how do you explain this? It's unexplainable. It's just unexplainable. Miss Young Dolph, we've gone over this before, running at 4:30 in the morning by yourself. This is a free country. Everyone has a right to do whatever they want. Is that wise to do by yourself? I'd say no. I would say no. I'd say if you're going to run at that time, get someone to run with you, all right? At least carry a weapon, carry mace, carry a slapper, carry something, because there are savages like this guy out there, And look what he did, Jennifer Smith says, I'm watching the news. Also, they said she has not been found. but don't quote me. No. Well, it's too late. I already quoted you, but that's okay. If they said she's not been found, that's news that there's no confirmation yet. Okay, folks, this is Police Off the Cuff Real Crime Stories. If you're not subscribed to us, very quickly go on our YouTube, hit that subscribe button, ring that bell, give us a thumbs up. And if you want to be part of our Patreon to support us financially, you can do that also. And if you want to join our YouTube channel, see the folks with the green font, they're all members of our YouTube channel. We really appreciate our friends, our subs, our fans, whatever you want to call them. Sometimes our subs don't like to be called fans. Sometimes our fans don't like to be called subs. So I call them fans. So this case again is heartbreaking. It's a heartbreaking case. From the very beginning, we sort of knew that this was Tamman Newman. I guess I'm showing my age. A slapper. The old transit cops and the housing cops used to carry slappers, and it was a piece of leather with a piece of lead in it. And when someone got a little nasty, they would slap the guy in the back of the head, and it could knock you out because it had a piece of metal or lead in it. And that's why people that wised off the housing cops or transit cops, they always knew that slapper was coming out, you know. So I'm showing my age because I don't think they carry them anymore. Edie Soneglia Wintner, woman walking or jogging alone should always carry some sort of protection. I agree. I 100% agree. Donna Gwynn, like a roll of nickels in a sock. Hey, that works. Just make sure you put a couple of socks so when you hit the person, it doesn't break, you know. Mama 4, yes, doing great, Mama 4. Legal Minded, that just disappeared. Lieutenant Pete, Hoppy, slapper, a handheld leather-wrapped metal, or jack thinner. So Lieutenant Pete, he's from that era. He knows all about slappers, that's for sure. Dawn G, helicopter in air over a specific area, command post set up, nothing more being reported. So it's there's a lot of police activity. Willez Pony, that's awesome, slapper, getting one ASAP, Supreme Commander. Believe it or not, you can go on police sites and still order these slappers. Because a guy that was in my academy class, he messaged me recently. He says, "Hey Bill, where can you get one of those slappers?" So I went on a couple of police sites online, and I said to them, "I go, right, you can get it from this site, and they'll deliver it to your house." The slapper, yeah, it's not the clapper, it's the slapper. You know, remember that thing on TV, and the lights would go on and the TV shut off. The slapper is different. You can't clap your hands, and the slapper doesn't hit someone in the back of the head. It's a offensive weapon, right? Red Feather Wall, every woman planning to go out alone, especially in the night or early morning, should carry a gun, and I know how to use it, in my opinion. It seems in our society that they're trying to take the guns away from the good people, and they want to empower these mutts like this guy getting out of prison. They want to give him more rights. This guy here, they want him to have a lot of rights and for you to have nothing. So this predator, this monster that did 20 years in prison, and we're supposed to feel sorry for the guy? I don't feel sorry for him. He had a very, very violent juvenile record also, filled with robberies and assaults. And of course, they'll seal that record because they don't want this poor little jailhouse Jack, as I used to call him. They don't want him held back. They want him to have a great career, you know? Yeah, a great criminal career. That's what he'll have, you know? It's disgraceful what our society has become with coddling these criminals and not, you know, Rich Kava, Bill, they will call you racist. Well, I'm not being racist. A criminal is a criminal, whether he's white, black, Chinese, whatever race he is. He's shown that he can't survive in society within the parameters of the law. Then he belongs in a little cage, you know? I think our society is very apologetic towards criminals. They think that that they're put upon. Burr, the slapper, boom, boom, go out the lights, almost like the clapper, but different. Yes, Burr, I think you caught the point. You stole my joke. It's okay. You can steal my joke. Let me play a little bit of this, guys.
Fletcher, who has been missing since Friday. The 34-year-old is a mother to 2 young boys and a kindergarten teacher at St. Mary's. She's also the granddaughter to late Memphis billionaire Joseph Origel III, the founder of Origel Incorporated, based in Collierville. Yesterday, police arrested Cleotha Abston and charged him with her disappearance. Our Lakita Johnson has the latest on the investigation from 201.
Good morning, Aaron. That 38-year-old is behind bars now, but the judge last night set his bond to $500,000. Now, he will not see that judge today because...
You know, I almost died when I heard that bail was set at all. Of course, it's an insurmountable amount, $500,000, $500,000, but I just think it should be, a message should be sent that a guy like this should not get bail, period. Setting bond, and what if he came up with the money? How would the rest of society feel with this guy roaming the streets after the crime that I know he's innocent to proven guilty, but how would you feel if this guy's roaming your neighborhood after being arrested for this?
Because it is a holiday, but tomorrow he is expected to be in court. Go ahead and take a look at this video. This is where Memphis police searched most of yesterday. Now, they wouldn't confirm this area in South Memphis was directly connected to the Fletcher case. But on Saturday, police did find the GMC Terrain. They said Abston was driving on Waterstone Oakway. A witness told police they saw Abston cleaning the SUV and washing his clothes. In the police affidavit we got, it said the abduction was violent and there's evidence that Fletcher got seriously hurt. Her family, though, hoping for the best.
More than anything, we want to see Liza returned home safely. We believe someone knows what happened and can help. If you have any information on this crime or Liza's location, call the police.
Abston is now charged with especially aggravated kidnapping and tampering with evidence. And as for the Fletcher family, they are rewarding anyone with $50,000 if they have any information that could lead to her return. We'll also keep you guys updated with more details that we receive. For now, Memphis, I'm Lakita Johnson. Back to you guys.
All right, thank you, Lakita. Well, let's get to more on that police report Lakita was talking about. It says Eliza went for her regular run. Then her husband, Richard Fletcher, reported her missing when she didn't come back. A biker found Eliza's cell phone and a pair of Champion slides near Zach Curlin near the university. Investigators say those slides had Abston's DNA on them. Surveillance video showed someone forcing Fletcher into the passenger side of an SUV after a brief struggle. That car then sat in a parking lot for 4 minutes before it drove off. So who is Cleotha Abston? Well, unfortunately, he's not new to this. He actually got out of jail recently for the very same crime. Abston was convicted of aggravated kidnapping and robbery back in 2000 after pleading guilty to abducting a Memphis attorney. A judge then sentenced him to 24 years, but he got out with time served in November of 2020. Now, less than 2 years later, he is facing similar charges in the Eliza Fletcher case. Again, Fletcher still hasn't been found. I do know this case may have some of you at home concerned, even rightfully scared. I often go running, but there are things that we, especially as women, can do to keep ourselves safe. Safety experts say, go ahead and ditch the headphones. I know it sounds hard to run without any music, but it's so you can hear other people coming near you. Also, they say avoid baggy clothes and this one, no ponytails, because it makes it easier for someone to grab onto you. Also, switch up your routine. Make sure that you're not running or walking the same route every day. All right, now the...
You know, folks, I see runners all the time, whether it's up where I live or in the city. The headphones, get rid of the headphones. How can you know what's around you, behind you, in front of you, side, left? You get hit by a car, you can't pay attention when you got music blaring in your ears. So if you're gonna run, take those stupid headphones off. I know you want to listen and rock out, but I think you need to be safe first and not worry about rocking out during your run. You know, it's really crazy. I see people doing that all the time, whether it's New York City, up here, and it's not safe to do. It's not safe to walk around with those. You know, how about folks that are talking on the phone while walking down the street? How is that for situational awareness? What are you aware of if you're in another universe? You're walking up the street, down the street, but your mind is on a phone call. I don't know. I just think that maybe you should lay off the phone a little bit. Enjoy the sights. Know where you're walking. You're walking into people because you're talking on the phone. When I walk down city streets and I hear people talking, I'm like, who the hell are they talking to? It's such a weird thing. And it's sort of like in our society, it's sort of like accepted. Oh, she's on the phone. Well, get the hell off the damn phone, you know? Like you got to really talk every minute of the day. You can't walk down the street without talking on a damn telephone. It's just incredible to me. What have we become in this society that we have to be on the phone all the damn time? Yes, I'm talking to a friend. I can't walk or talk without it, you know, because I need to constantly be on the telephone. I just think it's crazy. Get the hell off the phone, you know? So, folks, again, the police, this happened on Friday at 04:30, was called in at 7 a.m. by the campus police first, based on them looking at the video. And then it was called in at 07:45 by her husband when she did not go home. Did she not come home? Marilyn Manetta, this is what I think, run walking through the buddy system. Me and my friends walk together. Never the same. I'm an old lady, buddy. You still have to be careful. That's right. That's right. Robin Redmond, I agree, Bill. Fremont Pathfinder, and 10% of his bail. Well, all right, 50,000. It's just Tammy Moore. I was taught to at least pretend to be on the phone so to deter an attacker. It doesn't make sense now that I think about it. No, that makes no sense, Tammy. I don't know who told you that. I think you stay the hell off the phone, you know. And situational awareness. Be aware of your surroundings. Have your head on a swivel. How can you, on the phone, hear someone coming up behind you? That's frequently where attacks come from, or behind you. So situational awareness. Just think of that term, situational awareness, and I think you'll agree with me that you got to stay the hell off the phone. There's no reason to be on the phone all the time. There's no reason whatsoever. Becky D, the crime scene is 7 miles from the house he was found at. Okay. Andy the Gabby Cabby, look at a phone walking down the street. You got an appointment. Head first with a lamppost. Yeah. Andy the Gabby Cabby, you make a lot of sense. That's so true. Mom of 4, 57 Rose. How the hell did we survive without cell phones? I'm 65. I had a phone, but a pocket full of money for the payphone. Laugh out loud. These phones are destroying families. Also, it's horrible. Yeah, and how the hell did we survive without the computer, without social media? We did very well. People talked to each other. Kids played sports instead of being on the computer all damn day, right? Kids played games with each other. Now it's like everyone is hypnotized, and then the computer can do egregious things like make you think things that they want you to think. Just outrageous, No, Nikki Hoffman, we don't believe she had headphones or earphones on. We're just saying other runners. This is things that you can do to stay safe. Eliza wasn't wearing headphones. She was very aware. She was attacked by someone who overpowered her. And it was early in the morning where there was no one out there to help her. Pam Darry, when he was released, was there not a warning issued to protect the public due to how brutal attack? Well, he was on parole. So the police are notified when parolees are released and where they're going to live. And they have to report to their parole officer X times a month. Every time, though, these things in the criminal justice system, they keep making them more and more and more lax. So, why do they have to meet with? Let's not have him meet with his parole officer. They should, when we were in homicide, parolees would show up at their parole officers, and my detectives would be there waiting for them because they did a murder over the weekend. So, what better place to pick him up without getting into a confrontation? Let's wait till he comes to his parole officer. He's not going to carry a knife or a gun going into the office for the parole officer. So let's meet him there. That's what my detectives used to do. And you know how many times idiots like this would do a murder and then show up at their parole officer on Monday was just incredible, just incredible. And look, I always say that expression, truth is stranger than fiction. And that's for sure. Folks, I'm just going to read a quick commercial. Wait, I have to get those comments off the screen. There we go. Or else I'll never be able to see it. Folks, if you're looking for a great attorney in the New York City metropolitan area, Joe Murray is your guy. Joe Murray is a retired NYPD police officer, outstanding defense attorney. You can get him on his cell phone at 718-514-3855. You can email him at joe@jmurray-law.com. His website is jmurray-law.com. So if you're looking for an attorney in the New York City metropolitan area, again, Joe Murray's your guy. Here he is, actually. There's a little photo with Joe. He's a frequent guest on this show. And in fact, I asked him if he wasn't too busy to come on tonight, but he was doing something tonight, so he couldn't come on. Folks, 9/10/2022, the First Responders Unite for Fight Night, Tunnel to Towers charity. That's a World Trade Center charity. New York City Cops and Kids, NYPD Boxing, FDNY Boxing, National Grid, DSNY, Department of Corrections, Custom USMC Boxing. Weigh in at 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. Showtime is at 6 p.m. Staten Island University Hospital, 75 Richmond Terrace, Staten Island, New York. That's from my good friend, Patty Russo. New York City Kids in Boxing. He runs that charity and a great boxing program. He's saved so many kids from the inner city, from giving them something to do, something to aspire to. He's had a guy go to the Olympics. He's had guys that went through his program become hugely successful citizens. Just a great, great guy. That's Patty Russo, New York City Kids in Boxing. He's a friend of mine too, and former NYPD sergeant. So just doing some great work. So guys, we're coming close to a close here. This is just the most horrendous case, one of the most horrendous cases I've seen. It's just outrageous. I think that, when you get a victim like this, who is just an outstanding human being, and it's not, and that's because she's a rich lady and she's an heir to a fortune. That really doesn't come into the picture. But it's just, she's a real victim, and this was such a random attack. And we pray for her, but common sense tells us that there's not going to be a happy ending to this. Let me play one last news report.
Executive Director of Crime Stoppers Memphis Division, Buddy Chapman, joining us by phone this morning. Buddy, thank you so much for making time to talk to us. We know a man has been charged in connection to the kidnapping. However, still no Eliza. So my first question for you is, are you any closer to actually finding her?
Well, that's hard to say. This is a case with a number of moving parts, as you've already covered. It's a tragic case. I have to say, I hate to say that it becomes less and less likely that we would be able to find her alive, but they are covering all the bases, and you pretty much summed it up. There is a $50,000 reward, and I would remind anyone hearing a $50,000 reward, remind anyone who's hearing this that will go to the person that calls us to tell us where to find her, if there's anyone who knows that. As you noted, the person who's been charged with killing her has refused to cooperate or give any information.
Has there been any indication that there could be other people involved in covering this up or in locating her?
Well, you may or may not know, I used to be the head of the police department here in Memphis, and just what I have ascertained from listening to the reports that I get, I don't anticipate that. He was found with his brother when they arrested him. The brother has not been charged. When he did his previous kidnapping, he was abduction. He was alone when he did that. So it wouldn't appear that way, but as I say, a number of moving parts.
We know that the dumpster was seized from an apartment complex and towed away. Is there any information you can provide us as to why?
Well, we also have witness statements that have been reported that he was seen washing his clothes. And now you covered the part about him cleaning out his car, but he was also seen washing his clothes. So the natural assumption is that there's a possibility he may have thrown those away. There's also the possibility that there was something else, whatever, if in fact he struck her with something or killed her with something, that item might have been thrown in the dumpster. They're covering all bases. You also covered the issue of them taking things from the home and towing the car. That's pretty much standard procedure when they don't have an idea and a person disappears. The family will come under scrutiny always. That's not any black mark against them. That's just the way the thing works.
Okay, Buddy Chapman, thank you very much for joining us this morning by phone. Certainly hope that this investigation continues to reveal more clues.
Well, we just hope someone will call us and with that $50,000 in mind and give us information as to where she is, or in the worst case scenario, where her body is.
All right, Buddy Chapman, thank you again.
Yes, ma'am.
Folks, that's all we have tonight. To recap, as far as I know, there's been no recovery of Eliza. I'll follow this case tomorrow. We'll see if there's any happenings or any investigative breakthroughs overnight. But right now, we're not hearing anything about anyone being recovered. And some of the rumors that I was reading about in the chat just now, someone asked me, was there any confirmation of the husband lawyering up? And I saw that nowhere. That was a rumor that someone put in the chat. I saw no confirmation of that whatsoever. There also has been no confirmation right now that Eliza has been recovered. Folks, I know this is a sad story. It's a horrible case, you know. It's a horrible kidnapping, but we're going to cover it tomorrow. And if there's any occurrences overnight, I'll bring them to you tomorrow. Folks, especially all you guys that came from Duty Ron's show, thank you so much for joining us on Police Off the Cuff, Real Crime Stories. I'm your host, Bill Cannon. I want to say, I hope everyone had a happy Labor Day weekend, the last day of the summer. God bless, and I'll see you soon.
One episode just ain't enough.